Sent it to her.
Okay, thank you. All right. Well, welcome, Bonnie, and I'll let Bonnie tell you all about her multimedia, her life overseas, the wonderful life she led. You'll all be very envious, but she works very hard. So,
Um,
Bonnie, all yours. Thank you very much.
Thank
Welcome,
you,
everybody.
Lee. Yeah, so I guess I'll just give a quick introduction as to who PMA is, just in case you're not aware. So at Plants Management Australia, we are a plant licensing, marketing, and management company. So the easiest way to understand what we do in the world of plants is think of an author who writes a book. They write something really creative, really beautiful, but they don't know how to get it into stores around the world. So they go to a publisher, and the publisher helps sets up that network and then gets it into retail stores. And we essentially do that with plant breeders. So we have plant breeders in Australia and internationally that we represent their products for, and we do the marketing, we do the photography, we do all the R&D behind those genetics, set up the line of network from propagators to growers, and then the growers sell the product onto you as retailers. So that's sort of a bit of a background as to PMA, a very brief one. And my role there is I do all the photography, videography, I do all the horticultural writing, and I do all the, I guess, the comms between breeders as well and the R&D. So my background is horticulture. I worked at Garden World for 13 years and with PMA now for 3 years. So that's sort of my history. But today I wanted to talk about our Frost Kiss Hellebore collection.
Just to
And
interrupt you briefly, you're also on the Garden Gurus store, I think, Bonnie.
yeah, so I do freelance presenting as well for Channel 9, which is
Mhm.
Garden Cruise. I
Yep.
still do that, but my main focus is obviously my full-time job, but
Right.
really
Okay.
enjoy that because it gives you another, I guess, realm to sort of present to and educate people in, because my
Mm.
goal as a horticulturalist is to inspire and I guess educate other people to love plants as much as I do. So that's my whole purpose with gardening.
Excellent.
Yeah, so I do a bit of that, and I have done a lot of writing for magazines and horticultural papers and things like that as well. Yeah.
Very good. Okay. Go for it.
But yeah, so I'll start on our Hellebore collection, and then at the end, I'm going to share with you just some retail photos and videos that I took on a trip recently in Europe. I just got back from Europe 2 weeks ago, and there's a huge retailer there that I think you guys will find quite interesting with some of the things that I've spotted. But we'll first start off with our Hellebores. So I guess I wanted to give a bit of background as to where they come from in the world. So they come from a breeder out of the Netherlands in a place called Boyle. It's a beautiful, quaint little country town, very flat. There's no hills in the Netherlands. It's a very flat country. And it's their main focus with their breeding is to introduce really good garden perennials. Now, I'm guessing everyone is really familiar with Carrick's Feather Falls. The same breeder who produced that produces our Hellebores. So they're not just focused on one genus, they explore a few, and they've got a whole team of dedicated breeders that are doing the research. And when it comes to Hellebores, it's a really lengthy process. So they sow them all out, they flower them all out. From there, they'll make the selections on what colors they think are good. They'll then put them through a few years of growing to make sure they're stable. And then they go into their selection trial. And that can be a fair few years. And then at that point, we're invited over to their nursery, which is really wonderful and really quite cool to go there and see them. And then we make the selections what we think would be good for the Australian market. Then it's another few years until they come into the country. Then we do all our research and R&D around the whole country, and then it ends up in retail stores like yourselves. So it's a bit of a background as to where our Hellebores come from. And I guess I wanted to talk as well about what are the differences and the market advantages of these Hellebores. So they are hybrid varieties, which makes them a lot hardier for different climate conditions, especially heat. So with a lot of traditional Hellebores, you may notice if you're in a warmer climate, they can sort of melt in the heat, or they can go pretty much deciduous to ground in certain areas. Whereas our varieties, because they are hybrid, they're bred not to do that. So they actually stay evergreen. Yes, they do need good watering and feeding throughout the year like most, but they shouldn't go dormant on you at all. So they're always going to have a presence in your garden or your consumer's garden. And the other, I guess, part of the breeding program is their foliage. They have really nice marbled leaves across all of the varieties in the range. So you're not only getting color through the year when they're in flower, but you're going to have interest in their foliage. So they're a really good contrast plant for landscapers, designers, or whoever wants to incorporate something a bit different into their shaded areas. They also focus in their breeding program on the blooms being quite big and upward facing and above the foliage. So some of the varieties, they sit just above the foliage, nice big blooms, and then others, they'll sit right up and face up towards you. And that's a huge focus of this breeding program with the Hellebores. They're also not invasive as well. So unlike the traditional forms where they'll set seed and then they'll just take over whole space, and sometimes that can reduce how much flower you get out of the plant. Our varieties don't do that. They're singular plants. They're going to stay in their little zone. They're not going to overrun the garden, which is a really nice feature of them, which also makes them, into the last point, a really good pot culture. So they're not only good for growers to produce, they're really good for home consumers to grow long term in their garden as well in containers. So what's new for this season? We've got 4 new varieties. So you may have seen this one that's just come out in the last few weeks called 5E Velvet. It's a brand new compact form. And in this next photo, you can sort of see how small that foliage growth is and how tight the body of the plant is. It's very rich flowering. And when I say rich flowering, just means really abundant flowering. A really good repeater as well and quite long in the season. The other benefit of our frost kiss hellebores is that they flower, so they start now, but they can go right up into early spring. So you have quite a long flowering window with these plants. And the color on this one, it's a bit hard in a photo. If you've seen it in person, hopefully you can agree with me here that they do look really like velvet. It's a really unusual sort of mulberry red color, really beautiful, really stands out against the sort of lighter green foliage as well. So this is a new one that's just come onto the market. We also have Moon Dance, which is a brand new, not really a white, and we have another one in our collection called Molly's White. Now, the difference between the two, Molly's White will open up and be quite a flat flower, and it's pure white. Moon Dance is a cupped shaped flower. It has a lime center to the flower, and you may be able to see just on the edge of the petals, there is a bit of a blush to the petal. So it's not a pure white, this variety. So it's got a bit of difference in the color there. And it's a bit smaller of a grower. So you'll find that it'll be just a little bit shorter in height and the flower stems are a bit shorter too. But it's another really, really pretty one that we really, really like. As of just today, Magico has just been released. So this is one that we're really excited for as well. It's a bicolor. So you can see here, it's got the age of sort of that lime green with the mulberry in the flower. The reverse of the flower is a really beautiful mulberry color as well. And these are really big flowers. And I've got a comparison photo to show you in just a second. But once again, it's a smaller body. The plant's body itself is compact and tight, but the flowers themselves are very, very big. So the comparison photo I have here is we've got Sophie's Delight, which I always thought was a really big flowering form, and it's quite a nice long stem, so great for cut flowers. But then we've got the size of Magico, and as you can see, it's almost, well, it is pretty much double the size. So that just gives you a bit of perspective on how big the flowers are on this variety. And then the last new addition that's also just released as of today is Elemental. And this is quite an unusual flower sort of color wave. As you can see, it's got the beautiful, softer, light pink face, but then on the reverse, it's almost as if someone's gone through with a pencil and done some artwork on the back of the petals with this sort of pen stroke effect. Really pretty form. It's quite luminous in your garden as well, so it really does stand out. And this is a really heavy flowering form, as you can see, just the amount of flowers on this one. Really, really pretty. So there are 4 new varieties. But with all our hellebores within our collection, we've got this slogan, indoors for a moment, but outdoors for a lifetime. And I like the hellebores in the video, actually, just spotting that. So that's them there. But yeah, so the indoors for a moment, we want to remind, I guess, retailers, but we also use this as education through our social media, is that they make great gifts. People can enjoy them inside their homes right now as they're in flower for up to 3 weeks. That's what we recommend. And then after 3 weeks, we would suggest taking them outside, planting them into a container or into the garden, if that's what the consumer wishes to do. But this is another really good thing just to keep in the back of your minds, that it can be a good gift option for people. It can be a good party feature on a table, things like that. They have more uses than what we probably traditionally think of. The other thing I wanted to touch on was ongoing education. So this is something that we do a lot with our social media. So we don't just do business to business. We are very heavily in communication with consumers and educating on that front. So across our social media platforms, we've got probably around 25,000 people that we're connecting to every week. And we do talk about plants when they're sort of out of their sales window, for example. So right now, there's a lot of great interest in color and hype around hellebores, but when it comes to summer, when they're traditionally not looking so good, we are still trying to maximize an opportunity to educate consumers. Why not mulch around them? Why not give them wetting agent if they need it, or feeding? So there's opportunity to still use the collateral, so like photography that we can supply out of season, to help drive sales, maybe for those other purchases, such as your mulch or repotting your pot if you've had it in that container for a few years. So it's a good thing to always think about ongoing education on no matter what plant it is, but we've got the resources to help you. And that leads me into point of sale. For pretty much every PMA plant, we have A4 UV resistant posters that we supply. We often give this to our growers for the growers to then pass on to their retail network. If you're not too sure how to obtain that, or you're just wanting to find out more, feel free to email me and I can help arrange that, because we've got posters, we've got flyers, we've got brochures, and we've got bollards. Some of you may be familiar with the bollards as well. They're a 3-faced bollard, which make a nice addition to mass displays in your stores. So we've got all that available. And we have also got high-res photography and now HD videos in a lot of our lines, which is free, once again, for you to use, which you can use on your online shops, in EDM, social media, and things like that. So with all these new hellebores and our current collection, we've got all this collateral that you can have access to if you wish to use it. And
are the hellebores available all around Australia, WA in particular? I'm thinking nobody from WA on here. But
so the only one that is well, Moon Dance at the moment is available ACT, New South Wales, South Australia, and Vic, and all the others are pretty much Australia-wide. But
okay,
I'm happy to help clarify that if anyone has got any questions.
No, that's fine. Thank you.
In terms of the information that we also provide, once again, it's all written by a horticulturalist. There's a lot of R&D that's put behind it. I know the world of AI, it's very easy to type something and have something generated. We don't do that. We do everything ourselves. We make sure that the information is, well, sort of funded by research that we've done. So you know that the information you'll be learning from us to pass on to your sales team or internally, or even onto your consumers, is going to hopefully lead them to the best results in their own gardens. And that goes with our photography too. A lot of our plants don't exist yet, so AI can't create it. So everything that you see or obtain from us is a genuine image and a genuine video. And I guess hopefully this loads. This is just an example of the videos that we're putting out. So as Lee mentioned, I do presenting in TV, so I tend to face a lot of the PMA videos that we create. So these are all produced in-house, and the focus behind our videos is if there's frequently asked questions that we are getting, we'll turn that into a video, or we'll do a full 1 to 2 minute video educating from, I guess, start to finish on growing a plant for the consumer. So these videos you can access and you can use. There's some without me in it as well, so if that's a preference. But yeah, these videos are designed to, well, we use them on our social media and spread it that way out out to educate, but we also put them in our EDMs. So if you are right now writing an EDM on Hellebores out to a garden group or your consumer base, and you're wanting just to add a little bit more of an educational punch to the content, you can easily link to these videos if you wish, or I can give you the physical hard copy, and that you can use for those EDMs. Another thing that when I was at Garden World, they were very good at putting videos on their TV screens throughout the store of things that were in season. So there's that opportunity as well with any of our videos that you can use in store. We've got things on like Carrots for the Falls, ginkgo, lemon lime spire. We've got it also on hydrangeas. So there's a whole suite of different videos, and we've even got interviews with breeders and them explaining their breeding story. So they could be a good option for you as well if you wanted to use that. So this is just food for thought as to what you could be doing as well. And then, yeah, as I touched on, we've got high-res photography of the Hellebore collection and many more that can be accessed through the support centre. So these are just a few examples. So we focus on lifestyle shots and sort of magazine inspirational shots, and obviously flowers and lots of macros as well. So we try and get a whole broad range of different images to sort of provoke interest from different people. And then if you aren't on our support centre, I'll just pause here for a minute. This QR code will lead you to the registration page, so that way you can sign up to get access. The PMA support centre is 24 hours, 7 days a week access, and you can download all this type of content and information for absolutely free. There's no charge. All we ask is that you spell the plant's name correctly and represent the plant in the best way you can. But this is something that could be a good resource tool for you internally, especially if, you know, with social media, it's hard to create content. This can give you that content quite quickly. And then retail inspirations. I thought I'd show you a nursery from Switzerland. And from the outside, it doesn't look too exciting just yet because it's a sort of a stone facing building. But this nursery is one of the biggest nurseries in Europe. It has a 2-story level car park and you have to pay for parking to get into the nursery. So it's a massive, massive nursery, and they're very good at what they do. So I thought I'd just show you a few snippets from this retailer just for some fun and inspiration of what they're doing. So they have a big indoor section, which is under glass, and this houses a lot of different plants from soft annuals to veggies, and then even into some perennials. And this I particularly like. I might be a bit biased, is Runaway Bride, which is another plant of ours, but it looked really, really good. So I thought, oh, that's a really cool shot to see the consistency of those plants and then them in their retail store. But they are very focused on lots of colour and lots of hanging baskets. But it was quite unbelievable to go there. It's super clean, not a weed in sight. And there's a video coming up, which I'm excited to show you because I thought it was really interesting. But they do their displays beautifully, and combination pots is a big thing in Europe. You see a lot of that happening in store. See a few more photos, and then the video I think is coming up soon. So standard jasmines, which is just something a bit strange. Let me go back one. Here it is. So here's a video. Hopefully that plays. But the hanging baskets are on a conveyor belt, and they would follow the indoor section around, and there'd be a few sections where they would come down. So you've got plenty of time to grab the one you want and not have to chase it. But it was a really cool concept. And it just adds a bit of interest into the nursery. So I thought that was really, really smart. A smart way to display them. And then this is just another video from inside the store. So once again, very clean, just beautiful quality stock as well. And their signage was really, really nice and clean and really good. Nothing was faded. So they must update it quite constantly to keep it looking so fresh. but here's a video of the outside, and you can see a bit of a Swiss mountain in the background there. And then just beautiful espalier trees of unbelievable size. And then they also had display gardens within their nursery of the latest roses and plants, so that way you can browse and then you can go shop for them in the store as well. And then they also have a florist section, very modern color palette. Terracotta is very popular overseas at the moment. So I think we may be seeing that come over into Australia a little bit. But yeah, they had a full-time florist there that was working on just bloom arrangements all day. And then just a few of their interior sort of styling. So a lot of neutral colors seem to be what a lot of consumers over there are looking for. So once again, just a few more displays. And that's all I've got for you, Lee.
Oh, it's fantastic, Bonnie. That's a fantastic family business. I can't remember the young guy's name who's running it now, but I know his parents started it. It was nothing like that when I was in Switzerland, probably,
Yeah.
I don't know, 10 years ago. It was tiny, tiny. So it's amazing what they have built now.
Yeah, I think they've got a few chains now, like they've
Have
been
they?
able to
Okay,
expand.
right,
But it's just you drive up and you think this looks a bit strange because it's just a bit of a box that's sort of hidden by a massive car park in front of you, and you just think,
right.
have I pulled into a nursery? And then you do, and you think, oh wow. So it's travel is quite amazing. I'm very fortunate, and as PMA, we're very fortunate to be invited into some amazing growers that not many people get to see, and go see retail spaces as well.
Right.
And yeah, there's a lot of little snippets of information you can take inspiration from. But I
Lies
really love
charge
the
for
basket.
they charge for car parking. I mean, that's how the Swiss get wealthy. Obviously, get away with that. Come here
Yeah,
and buy from us, but pay to park as well. Goodness.
yeah, it's a very expensive country. But
Yeah,
yeah, they seem to be happy to pay for parking. So
yeah. Now, does anybody have questions? That's been fantastic, Bonnie. Are there any photos you want to go back to? Any of those that really grabbed you? I wouldn't mind actually getting a couple of. I might ask you after we finish here. I'll send you an email. Get some photos if I can of some of
awesome.
those newer Hellebores that put into our e-news if I could. The photos are
Yeah,
fantastic.
definitely.
Has anybody else got any questions for Bonnie, please? Not all at once. Just yell out.
If
Bonnie,
not, it's all good.
Bonnie,
I actually I have a question. I've been trying to get into the PMA support center,
Mhm.
and I had an email sent, and it said, "Oh, it's ready to go," and click on the link, and I just can't seem to get in. So I was just wondering if we could have a
I
look
can
at
definitely look at that for you, because whenever someone registers, it comes through to me and then I set
that.
it up. So if it's not working, it could be just a matter of ticking something against your name, but I'll double check it
Oh,
for you,
yeah,
and we'll
cool.
get that working for you.
That would be great. Thanks. And also, so like, is there a particular supplier that is doing all these hellebores, or is it a bit of a
Yes, good.
mix? Or
Yeah, good question. So with all our plants, there is licenses given out per state to different growers. And the reason we do this is because, one, a lot of the plants are PBR'd, so they have to have a license to be able to grow them. It also creates longevity for the product on the market, because PBR is usually 20 years and we want to see plants be successful for 20 years. So with these, I can actually go back for you. Hopefully I won't make anyone sick. But so Moon Dance at the moment is available through PGA. So that's Plant Growers Australia. Vibey Velvet is also available through PGA, Elemental and Magico as well. For the Queensland market.
That's fine. I just hold on a sec.
So Queensland market, we've got Vibey Velvet at the moment for Queensland. The others will come on, but they'll probably be next year. Elemental is available in WA, New South Wales, South Australia, and Tasmania and Victoria. Same with Magico. So I can maybe send this to you, Lee, if you like.
Well, everybody here today is Victorian, but it would be handy to have because I'll put some of this onto the e-news for next week, so they'll want to know. But
Yeah,
that
so
part would be good.
So if
So-
everyone's from Victoria, yeah, so Plant Growers, you can get it, and Lamley Nursery as well.
Right. Okay. I'll send you James' email, perhaps. Or
Yeah, sure.
Your
That's right.
emails.
I can remember that. I was pretty sure the PGA had most of them anyway.
Yeah,
Right.
so
Double checking.
yeah, Magico and Elemental. So this one I've got the screen on at the moment, and the one that followed it, this one have just come on the list today.
Mhm.
Okay, sure.
They're brand new.
Okay.
And the other two came out, I think, about 2 weeks ago. So
Right.
yeah.
Anybody else have any questions for Bonnie?
Bonnie, are the new varieties as susceptible to aphids as the old varieties? Is that something? Yes.
I've trialed these in my garden, and yeah, the older varieties I've noticed that too. They can get a little bit of aphid. These ones I haven't noticed it as much. So I wouldn't say, like, I don't want to sit here and say 100% yes, they won't get them. But I believe from what I've seen with my trials that they are a little bit more hardy. But I can go back and find out that information 100% for you, Sarah, if you like.
Yeah, that'd be lovely. Oh, I mean, they are what they are. We've got 2 lots coming in on Friday, so it's exciting.
Nice.
Yeah.
Perfect. But from what I've seen, they seem to be, and I know it is a focus in the breeding program to make them a bit more stronger as well. But so far, I haven't seen too much issue with them at all. So
Anybody else got a question? I think I heard somebody. No? No? Well, Bonnie, that's been fantastic. As always, your photography is brilliant, your videos are great, and your presentation skills second to none. I don't know what else I can say, so well done. Thank you.
it's all good. I'm always open to any feedback of any sorts. Even from retailers, if you see a label or if you see information that you're not sure on, just give us the feedback, because and for me in particular, it's really important to have that, whether it's positive or negative. It's always good to have feedback no matter what it is. But thanks, Lee.
I think I saw a spelling error in your presentation. I'll send you what I reckon
Yeah,
is.
true.
It's
Thank you.
easily done. Every time I print anything or I have it printed, and as soon as I open it, I find the mistake that I made. It's very annoying.
No,
And I'm
thank
sure
you.
you don't make very many. But thank you. Anybody last chance for questions? No? Thank you very much, Bonnie. I'll just stop the record.